Hello, it's your favorite queen of the underworld calling. I hope that I'm the favorite one anyway. I mean, if you're gonna select somebody like Morticia Adams or Elvira, I suppose I won't get too offended. I am very sorry for the change of lighting. I am recording this in the middle of a Sunday day because I couldn't let this topic leave my mind. You see, Berta has really internalized Salubri yesterday and managed to get really empathetic after giving a statement that should have really not done anything, but one person took really a lot of offense to it, and I felt hurt by that for like 2 hours straight. So, holy Jesus, World of Darkness community is so sensitive, and I have a feeling that I should be around people that have more walls around them than ones that could collapse from any kind of sentence. Anyway, this whole mess got started because during Gehenna Gaming's what is it that you're running? Yeah, Virtual Horror Con, which is YouTube. It's a Twitch channel and they're running like a little horror themed 3-day panel show thing. And they were talking quite a lot about World of Darkness, and World of Darkness people came out to talk about World of Darkness. And during one of these virtual HorrorCon streams, there was an idea brought up that said, hey, drag queen led one shot. One shot, it just means that it's not an ongoing series. You just get your friends together and you play a game for like 3 to 4 hours, and that is done. It's done. You're done. That just is not continuing. And you see, Twitch chat took it fairly well. Because why wouldn't you? But some people from the trans community took it very not well. I am gonna be hiding these people's identities because I know some of them, and some of them have led really difficult lives. One of them is deafblind with a feeding tube. And they're very sensitive to everything. It's like when you see a person like that, there's normally such a sunshine as well. You don't want to add to that stress because that is a life that nobody wants to lead. I feel really bad for them. They're coping, but I still feel really bad for them, especially when your hearing and your sight are going at the same time really quickly. So I am gonna be protecting identities here, but I couldn't leave the topic alone. Hopefully the people that I'm gonna be talking about will never see this video because once again I do not wanna add to their stress, but at the same time I feel like I have to come out in defense for theater and for drag and for any other kind of acting where you're pretending to be somebody that you're not. And I do not care if you're straight, if you're crooked, what gender spectrum you are, what do you normally go as, what are you normally in your life. You have the right to pretend to be somebody that you're not for entertainment's sake on a stage or on a YouTube channel or on a Twitch page or among your friends or in a seedy bar. You have a right to pretend to be somebody that you're not, and that includes pretending to be a different gender. And I do not care how much you're gonna accentuate or exaggerate features. I'm gonna write that off as comedy because guess what? Comedy is a thing and comedy has a right of existing. So I'm gonna start this by reading out what Lore by Night said about this whole little kerfuffle. He has stepped away from social media for today because he is another very sensitive person, so do not go comment on this post. I am not gonna be linking this post or anything. I'm just gonna read it out. Thanks, Vamily, who came along to the Vamily and World of Darkness panel with me, the Primogen, KK Halil, and Alia Collins. It was a lot of fun to just be wholesome about this awesome community. On that note, I want to address something that caused some unpleasant discourse. See thread. A vampire drag game idea was brought up in brief passing, which I have since learned is somewhat insensitive. No one believes it was deliberate in its meaning. It has, however, come across as a little insensitive with some transgender people on my Discord server. From my understanding of the situation, modern drag, as popularized by the likes of RuPaul and such, is used primarily to mock trans people. Many feel this is based on how trans people have been treated by cisgender people, supported by his historically transphobic positions. I'm told that lots of trans, non-binary, genderqueer community feels silenced quite often when we try to bring up how drag is treated. I know very little about this, which is why I try to learn from said members so I can be a better person. I want to point out that I'm not calling anyone out for making the joke or anyone who found it funny. I did purely because on the surface it seemed very silly. I never want to upset anyone in the LGBTQ+ community. Armed with this new knowledge, I will do better. And you see, this is where the problem lies. You have now established the gatekeepers that get to say which entertainment media is okay and which entertainment media is not. If somebody from LGBTQ+ community, because remember, these are all individuals. It's not one organization, it's not one voice, these are all individuals, and the people that they're speaking against probably belong to their own community. But as long as somebody from said community finds entertainment to be problematic, said entertainment can be shut down. Now, I do not have the full discussion that took place because when I responded to one of the people, they deleted their messages and started saying that they're being very hurt by the fact that a cisgender person will say something when it's them living their life and they obviously know more about things than a cisgender person does. When effectively, if I was to sum up my message, drag queens and trans people are not one and the same. When you take up a gender identity that you're transitioning to, now let's include the whole spectrum in here. It doesn't matter whether you're masculine leaning, feminine leaning, whether you're a man, a woman, whether you're non-binary. When you take that up, that is your life. You are that. If you feel like a woman, you are a woman. You are not a theater parody of a woman. You're not playing the role of a woman. You are. And the distinction here matters. Because in theater, people are not. They pretend to be. Like, you know, when you pretend to be a vampire, you are not a vampire, okay? You pretend to be. I don't know how to say this more accurately. So if you are truly transitioning to something else on the gender spectrum, once again, language, in order to be inclusive and not upset anybody, you are, and you should feel validated in who you are being. Nobody on stage is saying, we are pretending to be trans. They are pretending to be a... Let's say that you're male to female, right? Let's take something that's quite easy to understand. When you're male to female, you are a woman. Somebody on the stage is pretending to be an exaggerated version of a woman. When you're female to male, you are a man. Somebody on the stage is pretending to be an exaggerated version of a man. I am a woman. somebody pretending to be a woman on a stage is not hurting me. I see this as art and entertainment. My inner Toreador kicks in, going, protect the arts, protect the art forms, because guess what? Even in the most ridiculous modern versions of entertainment, it still takes quite a lot of talent in order to develop a on-stage persona with their own sense of style, even though it's over the top and you're playing over the top. And play that persona, it requires talent. There is a lot of talent including in that. You know what? I'm gonna Google one of the super old examples of this, okay? Verka Serdushka. Verka Serdushka was not just a persona that was played on Eurovision stage with their little song that they went to, and I don't remember if they won or not. I don't remember, but they were also playing it in a skit on like either Russian or Ukrainian TV show. It was a constant reoccurring character. It was a constant skit. Think Borat. Think Borat, but this was a man playing to be a woman. This was his stage persona. And they were funny. And they played it really well. It was a good, well-made persona. And it would actually be leaking into Lithuanian media as well. And everybody liked said persona. They weren't making fun out of actual women. They were playing an overly over-the-top caricature of a woman. That is what drag is. Now, if you want its roots, there were times when women were not allowed to play in theater. Theater was a man's job, not a woman's job. Therefore, all women in theater were played by men. The representation of women in Athenian tragedy was performed exclusively by men, and it is likely, although the evidence is not conclusive, that it was performed solely for men as well. Men embodied women, okay? And despite the fact that this came from their own gender norms at the time and what females were allowed and not allowed to do, I honestly want to see that performance played with solely men as well, because I think that it requires quite a lot of talent to perform a different gender, and I am sure that these actors, they were quite talented. I think that it is fascinating. I think that it is amazing. I consider it to be an art form. I consider it to be a fairly old art form. Call me weird, but art is art, and that to me is art. Now, in societies, in circles that take such things a bit less seriously, it is not that uncommon for men to play females when no females are available. Like yesterday, there was a discussion on one of my cult discords saying that they were performing rites, like religious and occult rites, and they didn't have any women, so men played women in some religious rite. Effectively, it's like, hey John, can you put on the red dress and hold this cup? Because some old ancient priests were quite the perverts, and they liked staring at pretty nude ladies while they did the rites, so they wrote them into the rites. And John, being not overly sensitive, would go, alrighty then, because this isn't a big deal. This isn't a big deal, but some people, they internalize this as their part of their personality, to a point where they see anyone doing such things to be an attack of their personality, an attack on them. And as a person that is born into the gender that's being parodied by drag queens the most, which is women, of course drag kings are a thing, but mostly it's drag queens, I feel no such insecurity. It does not offend me that somebody is playing a caricaturized version of a woman. I once again see it as art. But anyways, Marta internalized Salubri yesterday, so that actually really, really hurt her for absolutely no bloody reason. And I was like, what the fuck, empathy? Why are you kicking back in this week when I have successfully blocked you for probably over a year? I used to be super sensitive when I was about 18, and then I completely blocked it out. I don't know how, but the fact that I am unblocking and unlocking this, I am gonna assume that this is a good, correct development that might help me with my migraines, because for all I know, my migraines are because I have really suppressed parts of things that are supposed to be happening in my brain, but my brain just out of itself and just completely shut all of that down. But yay, yeah, that's returning. So now when people get hurt around me, or when they're sad, or when they're angry, I feel sad, or angry, or hurt. I will feel the hurt that somebody else felt for hours, that technically I inflicted on them, and it's not mine. And I find the reason why it was inflicted to be fairly ridiculous, so I will just be sitting there seething at about the fact that I am in pain. Anyways, there are some cultural appropriation issues with that suggestion and the way it was treated in chat, from what I understand. As I already pointed out, that it's a fairly ancient art form. I do not see it as cultural appropriation. And I share some similar sentiments from my perspective of a polygender individual who doesn't feel safe exhibiting my masculine traits. I think the base issue that I have with it is that it even became an entertainment thing in the first place. It was an entertainment thing for a very long time. Probably longer than us accepting trans people as trans people. It would be a bit mudgy because some cultures had people assigned to a third gender when there weren't enough sons, for example. Some cultures had like a special place for people like these. So I can't say for sure, but at least as far as Athens is concerned, like, men playing women would definitely be more accepted than men trying to live as women. That wasn't a thing. Men playing women was a thing. Now, this is where shit goes down, and I effectively tell the person to feel validated in their gender because they're not playing a role. They are that, while people on stage are playing a role, and they delete all their messages, and they start saying about how hurtful it is that a person who's not experienced with these things would try to effectively mansplain to them what their life should be like. And Berta really internalizes this, and I go on a friggin' insane apology spree. I feel like shit at this point, because, hey, empathy, thanks for kicking in. That was the absolute wrong time for you to do that, but okay, brain. If that's how we are, that's how we are. I obviously ain't blocking my own name. Murta, I know you're trying to understand, but pause for a second and listen to us. Myself and a lot of others like us in the trans, non-binary, genderqueer community feel silenced quite often when we try to bring up how drag is treated. This is why we talk about it a lot. I think there was a misunderstanding and some anxiety sank their teeth in here. But for a moment, when we say we feel like we're not being heard, when we say in the way drag is being treated and that's detrimental to us, maybe take a step and consider it for a moment, please, for me at least. You see, the reason why my defense mechanisms kick in is not because you just said something in passing. You said that the whole art form should stop existing because it personally upsets you. I think that's why my defense mechanisms kick in, and I go, no, I must actually say something about this because I feel bad about how drag queens and drag kings are being dragged in the chat. No pun intended. So I must speak. But if I do speak, then I will get whacked. Effectively, it's... Marta is like the third wheel in a conversation where she just comes in and goes, I understand your points, I understand why this is hurtful, I understand why internalized trauma, but these people also have a right in existing, and normally either one side or both sides will turn around, whack Myrta in the head, and continue yelling at each other. That's why Myrta is trying to not engage in internet arguments whatsoever. It's just that because she was trying to validate and uplift a person, she didn't think that she was engaging in an internet argument. She thought that she was only doing a good thing. Now, I hear what you're saying. I hear you, trust me. I relate, I understand. I'm sorry you felt like you were being silenced. Your identity is valid, absolutely, without a single doubt in anyone's minds. You're welcome here, and I will fight to the final is struck out, hopefully, some lighthearted effect to be brought in. Death for that. Okay? I'm sorry, this all happened. If you want to talk about it further, we can talk in DMs, okay? Myrta, I'm not asking you to engage less. I'm asking you to perhaps do it so with a bit more discretion and wisdom. Once again, Myrta is like full-on empathy mode, and she is hurt beyond all reason, despite the fact that she should have not had a complete emotional breakdown and overload in somebody's Discord chat. What the fuck, brain? But my own anxieties come out to play when I'm in a highly emotional state of being used to being told to not speak. And now, remember that Myrta was not trying to engage in an online argument, she was trying to uplift a person. And if she can be completely dragged through the mud for attempting to uplift a person and obviously completely failing, then the only way that Myrta can not inflict pain onto other people is by not engaging. This is so much why I am so other in a lot of communities, societies, groups. I can do surface conversation, okay? We can stand there and I can do surface conversation, but when a lot of people are this easy to have their buttons pushed, I can hurt people so badly without meaning to, and considering that I actively decided not to engage in internet arguments whatsoever, because that been there, done that, it helps absolutely nobody, it helps absolutely nothing to know that I can get these people in that state by trying to lift them up. What am I supposed to do outside of say, I have a mouth, but I must not speak? I must just not talk whatsoever. You do not want me to engage, because my engagements, even positive ones, apparently come down like that. Without trying, okay? How else am I supposed to take these statements if not, please shut up? And it's pretty bad because you end up being on this fringe edge of somewhere where no matter what, a lot of what I do is to do with YouTube and Twitch and the internet community. And even with the occult community, when a lot of things that you do involve interacting with people, channels smaller than mine can get featured by World of Darkness people, okay? Channels smaller than mine can get featured by World of Darkness people. Even if I talk only World of Darkness, I will never get featured because I am problematic in my existence. I feel so othered that I can't get that. I couldn't get that in RuneScape. I can't get that from The Sims. I definitely cannot get that from World of Darkness. I am one of those people that are not advertiser friendly whatsoever. Even when I'm not trying to be not advertiser friendly, even when I'm trying to be very, very, very friendly. And this expands to also communities in general. If I wanted to go and play World of Darkness as a tabletop, I couldn't go through any mainstream channel because I will eventually have this reputation of being a bitchy witch. I don't know what is it about me, but I am gonna accept that. I am gonna accept that my position in life, when life is like this, is to be a hermit and to take comfort in my own solitude. And I think I have gotten much better about it during the years, but it's kind of like being autistic, okay? When you're really like, I think I am following all societal norms, but society really doesn't like me, and others act around me like I am some sort of alien. It's kind of like that. To me, I think I am engaging okay, following all of the societal rules, but something about me still screams danger to you every single time when you look at me, to a point where you will push me away. And I do not understand. I do not understand which part of me is like leaking out to people that they go, this one is beyond approach, this one is beyond interaction, this one is beyond touching, to a point where no matter where I go, I will interact on a surface level only. And once again, Myrta was in a high emotional state yesterday, so all of that came out. All of that came out, even though I tried to make sure that it would come out in a rather acceptable way, so I didn't go on a full sob story, but effectively I did say that, well, I suppose you don't want me to speak at all then, because, well, how else am I supposed to take that? I'm not asking you to, like when someone who comes in and says, hey, I'm black, let me tell you about my experiences at the gaming table with racism, I sit back and listen instead of trying to jump in and find reasons or justifications for why those racist behaviors might exist. You see, my approach with this is that sometimes people adopt a specific mentality going, this is because of my skin color, and my whole point is to go, I have experienced the exact same behavior that you did. Some people are just shit. And then they feel personally attacked because I am stating that people sometimes are shit. And they're not being shit to you necessarily because of skin color, because if they were being shit to you necessarily because of your skin color, I wouldn't have the exact same experience with those people. But it's like people want to internalize what they view about themselves as a flaw, and it is very, very sad because I went the opposite route. I went the route of, I love myself, I am gonna act completely and utterly like me, and I like me. And it is so sad for me to see a lot of people go, I hate me, because the statements like, this must be happening to me because of my skin color, and when somebody comes in and says, it's not, for I have had the exact same experience, when you say, no it is, you're shutting me down, please shut up, that is you effectively stating that you want this to be happening because of your skin color, because you yourself view your own skin color as a problem. Apply this to anything. Apply this to nationality. Apply this to gender. Really, society is really difficult, and some people are just absolute shitheads, and that is just how it is. So when I share those experiences, it is not to invalidate yours. It is to encourage you to love thyself. But I feel like it does not come out that way, or these people are absolutely dead set on bringing themselves down on features that they should have been bringing themselves up against. Now, this is probably the same with gender, where these people so internalized all of the bullying that they got over being the opposite gender than what they were born with, that really, even an art form that is meant to parody women, not them, women, is painful to them. And that is sad. That is sad. That is something that people should work with themselves, to learn to accept that part of themselves, because it is you. It is unapologetically you. It is a part of you. If you're this sensitive about it, it means that you have not actually accepted that part of you, and I am sad for you about that. I just listen for a while. Then when conversation involves, I might ask questions if it feels appropriate and the speaker seems open to these questions. I think what happened here is the situation got misread, which does happen sometimes. I don't think that necessarily the situation was misread, because they were like, oh, Myrta just talked about expressing themselves through a fashion sense. Well, we were talking about drag. So Myrta was talking about drag as a valid entertainment form, because it is. Myrta wanted to defend drag, but at that point Myrta decided to no longer correct any of yous, because Myrta was in a really bad way herself, and she wanted nothing to do with this conversation anymore. So she had shrunk back into that corner where she was like, you know what, fuck all of this, fuck society, fuck all of these people, you can boil in your pot of problems. I tried to help you, and my tries to help you hurt you, and in hurting you, they hurt me back, therefore just fuck it. Surface level interactions it is. Surface, how's the weather? Where you are, oh, it's raining. Oh, it is. I have a beautiful gray sky right now. Do you have any funny pictures of kittens to share? I can like those, and I can heart them. Maybe I will send you a funny picture of puppy. Please tell me that that's not a trigger of yours. And I know that I am being mean, but this is just... it's such a rant, because it took 2 hours from me yesterday. It took 2 hours from me, and it nearly gave me a migraine. I swear I could be that little garden witch that lives in your cave, that just does nothing but studies books all day long, because that is what she enjoys doing, outside of going out and farming for a while so that she can get some food and be perfectly happy. I can just lock myself away for decades, and I suppose I have been trying to do that to a point, because I cannot stand this bullshit, and because I am so... I can feel so much that I feel other people's feelings, and that's just... I know that it's other people's feelings, but that is really not helpful. It is very not helpful, because it hurts all the same. I can deal with my own bullshit. I can deal with my own feelings. I can't deal with your feelings leaking into my feelings. That is absolute dog shit bullshit. What the fuck? So you know what? I'm just gonna interact with you on a complete surface level. Your problems are your own. Go and fix them. I am not gonna tell you how pretty you are as a person. I am not gonna try to uplift you. I am not gonna try to validate you, because when I try, you take offense. And you get hurt, because you want to be a sad sack of potatoes, I suppose. That is just what you internalized. You internalized being a sad sack of potatoes. Not a gender, not a skin color, not a nationality, just a sad sack of potatoes. And holy Jesus, this was quite a rant, and I hope that nobody ever sees this. But anyways, few people that this whole situation was going about stepped in to have a talk themselves. I responded on Twitter, but I wanted to add it in here as someone who mentioned the drag game. I am a GNC female, have been my whole life. Spent many years as a drag king, and it gave me a safe place for expressing other aspects of gender. There were so many wonderful fellow performers who did wonderful things for the community, and many who found their trans identity through drag and have continued to perform as an art form. When I said a drag game would be fun, even commented in the chat I would revive my own drag persona to storyteller the game. In my position as a storyteller, I have been building more games than I can use as platforms to help uplift others. This includes the queens I know that deserve platforms to broaden their own audiences and promote themselves and their art. This is why I said I thought it would be fun. I personally don't want to keep only doing games where my identity is what the game is. I love to do loads of games with the same kind of thought, so we can grow, diversify, and better the community and support all kinds of creators. I am down to do a drag game because queens raised me and taught me a lot about my gender and gender expression. This wasn't ever an idea I set as a game of characters who are drag queens kings, could be if players wanted, but a game where we got to invite drag performers to the table of all kinds and let them have fun in a vampire story. Hope that cleared up anything on my personal side of it, and I'm always open to talking to others. Echoing Ali on this, I have been involved with my local drag scene since my teens. Many of my TTRPG friends are drag performers, and they're always asking me if there are open games or tables where they would be welcome. The idea of doing a Vampire the Masquerade drag one-shot is meant to be a celebration of drag, not a mockery. Furthermore, neither Ellie nor myself had any intention of minimizing anyone's identity or experience, so personally I'm sorry if anything I said made you feel as such. Ellie far better at words than I am. Hope this clears things up from me. Goes back into her mouse hole. I just left these messages a heart because fundamentally, people are opposed to you guys existing and to you guys performing your art. It's not even that unknowing people will dress up as a different gender, even though that's how researching your own gender expression might even begin for some people, or how one develops a drag persona, right? No, it's legitimate drag queens. People still took issue with that. Just so you know, they have an issue with you existing because they internalized their own traumas and they see anything that you do and just living your own life as an exacerbation and an attack on the trauma that they themselves have internalized. And this is sad. This is sad. So this has been my way of trying to get this off my brain case, because it has no place here. It really does. It has nothing to do with me. It has no place here. And I got completely too emotionally invested into something that I should have not. It's because my intention was completely opposite than what it came out as, what these people took it as. And because I was completely unprepared, I wasn't going into an argument, I wasn't going offensive, I wasn't going on an attack. It took me completely by surprise to a point where that it got into my head and it lived there rent-free for what, the second day now? Which I take issue with. I take issue with anything living in my head rent-free. You live here, you pay me rent, got it? Anyways, I hope that this video has been insightful and I hope that helped somebody. Don't internalize your traumas, okay? And I'm gonna see you in my other videos. Thank you for still being here, thank you for watching, and see you the next time.